From the Joy News Center. This is News at 8.
Good evening and welcome to the Primetime News Bulletin here on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. Coming up, Ministry of Energy announces short-term power rationing exercise. It says explains power outages starting from the weekend. Presidency condemns photo circulating showing the president in an inappropriate pose. Meanwhile, the BNI has released the MPP constituency chairman arrested in connection with the photo. He'll be joining us in the studio for a quick chat on his encounter. Petitioners' lead counsel begins cross-examination of NDC General Secretary Johnson Isiedun Ketia as court dismisses amicus curiae application brought by friend of the court, lawyer Amekuji. Vice President lobbies visiting Chinese delegation over delay in disbursement of $3 billion CDB loan. That's coming up in business. We have all that plus business, sports and showbiz coming up shortly.
News at 8 with Israel Lai.
Now, if you're an electricity consumer who's seen no respite in the supply situation in the last few weeks, then this may not be news to you. If, however, your supply has been stable, well, it may no longer be the case, or you may probably may have already noticed some change. The Ministry of Energy has announced the start of what it says is a short-term load shedding program. According to a release from the ministry, this should last 7 days, explaining that it has become necessary due to challenges relating to the availability and treatment of fuel for the optimum operations of the Volta River Authority's thermal plant. The statement, however, says all efforts are being made to restore normal power supply within the stipulated period. Consequently, the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, is expected to announce a load management program within the next 48 hours. Now, though officials are unable to say the energy deficit that has forced the current load shedding, Joy News has learned it is between 250 and 350 megawatts, and we will be updating you as and when we have the very latest information as to what exactly is the problem. In other news, government has condemned a photo making the rounds, especially on social media, portraying President Mahama in an indecent pose with a female. Addressing journalists during today's briefing at the Flagstaff House, Deputy Information Minister Murtala Mohammed equally condemned a similar photo in circulation showing the MPP's flag bearer in the 2012 elections, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, pointing out that besides the dent to the country's image internationally, the indecent politicking is not worth the psychological trauma caused to families and friends of those indicted in such pictures.
So reports about the arrest of a member of the NPP, Omare Wadie, over his alleged involvement in the circulation of the photo showing the president involved in sexual activity. The deputy minister said government cannot be said to have instigated the arrest.
We are not talking about the person called John Dramani Mahama. We are talking about the office of the President of the Republic of Ghana. So everything we must all be concerned is how we can protect the sanctity of that office called the office of the President. I think that His Excellency the President has a family, he has children. His children will also see such a picture, and do you know how they would feel? Do you know the psychological trauma that they will go through equally to Nanado? He has a family. His children will feel it the same way just as your children will feel it. I think that we need to be decent in the kind of politicking we do. The BNI is a state institution, an independent state institution, and I can't sit here and determine to them who they should arrest and who they should not arrest.
Other issues he commented on were progress of work on the 200 senior high schools and the university in the eastern region the NDC promised in their 2012 manifesto. Murtala Mohammed said ministers will be laying their policy directions in Parliament now that the House has reconvened. The Education Ministry is expected to outline clear indications of work done so far. He noted lands have already been acquired for the university, whilst district assemblies are to decide on where to place the senior high schools. 50 of the schools, according to him, will be completed at the end of each year to wholly fulfill the promise by the end of the administration's 4-year mandate. He said this is achievable, even though government has just 4 months to deliver the first batch of schools.
We want to plan before we implement. Even if the planning takes us 6 months, I strongly believe that it wouldn't take us more than 4 months if we sincerely finish with the planning and have the needed resources to put up those structures.
On the impact of the ongoing legal challenge of the president's legitimacy on its functions, the Deputy Information Minister said government is focused.
Government is never nervous. We are very convinced that we won the elections genuinely. And I don't want to be charged for contempt, but to say that government is nervous, we are hesitant in terms of the projects that we are implementing, absolutely not.
He also commented on NADMO's distress situation regarding relief for persons who could be displaced in anticipated floods with the onset of the rainy season.
NADMO has never been given the needed resources. So I am also very hopeful that the resources will be made available. I don't think the government will sit by to see people lose their lives or properties destroyed without any intervention. This is just a projection they are making, but we pray that we don't even experience them. I'm also very convinced, and I'm hopeful that as and when the resources are needed for such intervention, they will be provided.
On threats of another strike by doctors, he said the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission is an independent body which should be allowed to carry out its mandate without interference.
Meanwhile, the BNI has released the former constituency chairman of the New Patriotic Party who was arrested in connection with a photo of the president in an indecent pose. Now, Michael Omari Wadia tells us that he has completely denied any knowledge of the said photo. He joins us in the studio right now to tell us about his encounter at the BNI. Good evening to you, Mr. Omari Wadia.
So, good evening, my brother.
Now, what do you know about this supposed photo making the rounds?
Yes, Israel, I believe you have seen it, just as I have seen it. We've all seen it. And that does, but the fact that you have seen that picture and you admit that you have seen that picture does not make you the originator or the creator of that picture. When they challenged me,
there are suggestions that you admitted to have put out the photo.
That is what surprises me about Radio Gold, and I'm surprised people still listen to them. You can't interview me and I tell you something and you twist that thing. Have you heard them play that tape?
What did you tell them?
I told them that, yes, I have seen that picture, but I'm not the originator. I'm not a cameraman. I'm not an IT person to be able to change pictures. I don't do that. Even though you and I know we did something at GIMPA where we were taught IT, but that is not the area or angle we were taught, you know. I know how to use the computer, but I don't know how to move somebody's head and put another person's image head on it.
Under what circumstances were you picked up?
Well, I arrived yesterday morning. We left London yesterday. We touched down at 5 a.m. And there and then the immigration officer asked me to follow him. He took my passport and asked me to follow him. And then he handed me to some Metro guys. And I questioned where or why they would not tell me. They only told me to follow them. I followed
these Metro guys you're talking about, more
you see,
better
no matter how strong
you
are, no matter how strong you are, if you have more than 2 people hunting or chasing you, you just have to humble yourself. And I knew that that was an official, no evil could happen, because it was an immigration officer, and then he handed me to those boys.
Okay, so then what happened?
Where are we going? They won't tell me. They only drove me, they put me in the car, drove me to the BNI headquarters. We went there, and what are we here for? What is the issue? They won't tell me. Until 11 a.m., when they took me to my house, and then searched my house, ransacked the whole place, and picked my laptop, and then my 2 phones, old phones that I'm not using anymore. They took me back to the headquarters. And I think it was around 3 or so. that they sent me to the 37 office. The
At that point,
office.
had they told you
No,
why you were being held?
I told them that I came from you, I traveled, I just arrived. Somebody was supposed to even pick me at the airport. Let me tell that individual that I'm not coming out, I'm here, or this is what is happening.
But
they won't.
Why
let me
would
talk
you
to my lawyers, they wouldn't let me talk to my lawyers.
Why would they take you to your house to search? What are they searching for?
They
didn't
wouldn't
tell
even
you.
tell me what the issues were until I think it was around 10 p.m. in the evening when they took me here to their regional office. That's where they told me there's a picture about the president they are investigating. What do I know about it? I said, if that is the issue, why do you keep me all this while? You wouldn't ask me, you torment and put me in this situation and you come asking me.
So how come they released you eventually?
Yeah, after they interviewed me in the night, the next morning, I think this morning around 11, again they called me. They came and asked the same questions. I told them what I know about the picture, that I have seen it. Yes, I've seen it before. I will not deny that, just as they have seen it. But if you have seen the picture, or you have that picture on your phone, you don't, in Ghana or wherever, you don't ask somebody to send you something before they send. So if somebody has forwarded something to me, it doesn't make me the originator. And the allegation that Radio Gold mails, I told Radio Gold, check from my site. If you are saying that you have anything on my site, it is there. My Michael Omariwa, there is nothing like that posted. If even I delete, in today's IT, I know you can easily trace if it has been deleted. I've never posted anything like that. So why do you say I have done that?
Now that you have been released, is that the end of the story, or you're supposed to report
they're asking me,
they
say I should report at tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So I want to know what they want me to. But I told them that, yes, I was in London when I heard the story. I released the first statement that I don't know, I'm not IT. They say I went to Nigeria to take a picture. I've never been to Nigeria before. I denied all that. Yet they went ahead to publish again. So I came out, once they were doing that, I asked, what is happening? So I thought about it. They are saying that somebody told me, somebody published actually a front page, the original, they said the original picture that I took in Nigeria. So if I had traveled from Ghana to Nigeria, supposedly, taken a picture, a pornographic picture there, sent it to be edited in UK, how come an NDC person, somebody in Ghana, how can that person get the original and print? And you still believe and blame me and accuse me that I took that picture and I have doctored it. Meanwhile, I that took that picture. I've never seen that picture. I've never seen the original or the what they are claiming is original. I've never seen that. If I have taken a picture and I've sent it out there, how come you have it and you are publishing? Government is not investigating that person where he got the original from. But you are looking at me and judging me, just putting stories. I've read a whole lot that I have admitted. I have never, let me state here, admitted that I created or I spread that picture.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. You heard Michael Omariwa. He's a former constituency chairman of the NPP at the Yawaso West constituency. In other news, the commission investigating the payments of judgment debts is demanding the appearance of representatives of the International Tobacco Ghana Company after they failed to show up at the commission sitting today. Representatives of the company were expected to help the commission investigate the allegations of fraud involving the ITG, SEPS, and the Attorney General.
Appearing before the commission in a case titled International Tobacco Ghana Limited versus SNIT, SEPS, and Attorney General, a representative from the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Assistant Commissioner Larry Fifi Yankson, denied knowledge of a judgment debt settlement made in 2009 to International Tobacco Ghana Limited.
Are you aware that judgment was entered in this matter on the 21st day of January 2004 in this matter that you are referring to right now?
All payments made in this matter were not done by customs as it done was. And indeed, all payments done were done by the Ministry of Finance.
He would, however, not provide documents relating to the case because he says that would amount to contempt of court since the case between SEPS and the ITG was still before the court. But the sole commissioner, Justice Yamapao, was not so pleased with his response.
If we know there is a case pending in court, we will not interfere. We know our limit.
No,
yeah, this is a commission, which is an investigating body.
Yes, my lord.
Yes. We are investigating certain payments that have been made. That's why we invited that if you have any documents on the case, you bring a photocopies of the documents you have. If you come and you tell us, we have these documents, but the case is still pending in court. We have these documents we want to give to the committee. We know how to handle the documents.
Representatives from the International Tobacco Ghana Limited, however, failed to show up for today's sitting. The commissioners have therefore resorted to publishing whatever information it has on the company in the media to help trace them, since they do not have their current address. A second case involving the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SSNIT, the Registrar General's Department, the Public Procurement Authority, and the Attorney General was also called.
Yes, you were served with that. The Public Procurement Authority was served with a subpoena to provide certain documents regarding the procurement of Ghana at 51 million wall calendars by A. Margin ID Systems, B. Margins Group Company Limited, and C. Indolink Company Limited. Do you have the documents, some or all, with you here?
No, my lord.
Lawyer Leslie Dodu, who represented the Procurement Authority, told Sitting she was not familiar with the case before the commission.
Yes, my lord. We keep copies of applications that are made to the board, applications for approval to single source a supplier, or applications for permission to restrict tender. These two methods are exceptions to the usual competitive method under the Act. And the Act requires that if you're using any of these exceptional methods, you must seek permission from the board.
So is it the case that it is not all bids that go through tender, which can be for you?
Yes.
SSNIT, the Attorney General, and the Registrar General's Department are expected to appear before the Commission on Wednesday, May 29, 2013.
And the National Labour Commission has dragged the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission and the Government Hospital Pharmacists Association to court in a bid to enforce its directive for the refund and restoration of conversion difference. It is also hoping the action will compel the pharmacists to return to work. The pharmacists who serve in public hospitals have been on strike for about 6 weeks over what they claim are distortions in their pensions and market premium in the new pay structure.
The counters at the hospitals where patients would usually queue with their prescriptions remain closed as the pharmacists insist on the implementation of the directive of the National Labour Commission to restore and refund the conversion difference. But both Fair Wages and GOSPA, representing the pharmacists, would have to appear before the Industrial Labour Division of the High Court to answer for their actions or inactions. Spokesperson and General Secretary for GOSPA, Ernest Owusu-Abuaje, acknowledges receipt of the motion for the two reliefs and are preparing to go to court. He adds they have already submitted their reports to the 4-member committee set up by the Ministry of Health to provide oversight responsibilities in resolving the strike.
We are preparing to file our processes. We are seeking the appropriate legal advice. We file our processes before. So then we remain on strike. We have appeared before the committee as well last week, Friday. We spent quite some time with them. We showed them the documents. We showed them the basis of our present action. We made it clear to them that we are unable to return to work unless and until the decision of the NLC at least is complied with in writing, because whatever the committee will come up will at best be recommendations or directives. Somebody must comply with it, somebody must respect it. So if what is existing now is not being complied with, is not being respected, why do we, as it were, return to work?
Hearing of the case has been set for June 12.
The new Member of Parliament for Kumbungu in the Northern Region and the only Member of Parliament for the Convention People's Party, CPP, Moses Adamu Yahya, has been sworn into office. The minority, however, took issue with remarks made by the Majority Leader in its attempt to win over the new MP. The swearing-in coincided with the House's return from recess.
The new Member of Parliament for Kumbungu, Moses Adamu Yahya, replaced the former Foreign Affairs Minister Mohamed Mumuni, who resigned following his appointment as the Secretary General of the Africa Caribbean Pacific ACP Group of States.
I, Amadou Moses Yahya, God swear
that I will bear true faith and allegiance.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Republic of Ghana.
To the Republic of Ghana.
In his welcome statement to the new member, the Majority Leader and MP for Nandom, Benjamin Kumbuo, stated his Kumbungu colleague will be better off aligning with the majority as they control business in the House.
On behalf of the entire House and on behalf of the majority side, who the honorable member will be doing a lot of business with, because the business that comes to this House is always a business of the majority side. We welcome him to join in that business. I would like to indicate that even my colleagues on the other political parties have been very, very supportive of government business in this House.
The Minority Leader, however, challenged the claim.
Additional comments. Except, Mr. Speaker, to correct an impression that has just been created by the Majority Leader when he says that the business of this House is always the business of the majority. Mr. Speaker, it's just by happenstance that the business, or the vast majority of it, happens to be led by the majority party. For now, it is so, but it is not always like that.
The new member later on disclosed to Joy News he will lean towards the majority. Sitting continues tomorrow.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Roads and Highways today came under fire from MPs over the country's poor road network. Some MPs who blamed the underdevelopment of the rural areas on the poor road infrastructure charged the minister to find some solutions as soon as possible.
However,
now we have some more stories coming up after the break. Don't go away. Now, the Supreme Court today dismissed an application brought by a self-acclaimed friend of the court, Benoni Tony Amekuji, seeking to stop the hearing of the petition challenging the election of President John Mahama. The court, in its ruling on the amicus curiae brief, said lawyer Amekuji had not provided sufficient grounds for a review of its earlier position on the matter. The ruling paved way for the election petition hearing to resume, with NDC General Secretary Johnson Gisedu Nketia being cross-examined after counsel for the third petitioners had led him in evidence.
Today marked the second attempt by lawyer Amekuji to stop the hearing. His first appearance was on May 2, about 2 weeks after the election petition hearing started, citing Article 64 of the 1992 Constitution, which protects a sitting president from being sued or joined in any litigation at the courts. He was, however, thrown out after the court held that he failed to file an affidavit to support his case as per the rules of the court. But he reiterated his claims when he appeared today.
Now, the ratio that the Supreme Court relied on was Article 64 and CI 16. And I will demonstrate to this highest court of Ghana that the decision based on that ratio was a gross error on the face of the record, which will set a very dangerous precedent if not reviewed.
But the court once again held that lawyer Amekuji had not followed due process to support his review application. Meanwhile, counsel for the third respondent, Chachu Chikata, concluded leading his key witness in testimony, enabling the petitioner's counsel to begin his cross-examination. Lawyer Addison's first question sought to challenge the NDC General Secretary's claim of 34 years' experience in Ghanaian elections.
Now, in your evidence in chief, you gave a definition of overvoting, which excludes a situation where if there are 100 ballots issued, it turns out that there are 110 ballots in the ballot box. You exclude that as overvoting. Am I right?
Yes, you are right.
So in such a situation, what will you tell me?
When such a situation arises, my lord, it is an indication that some unidentified material is in the box, and there is a procedure of locating that unidentified material during sorting, and it's removed, and the other valid votes are counted.
He returned from the court's recess with further questions, some of which focused on the declaration of results.
Mr. Asiedu Nketia, do you know that the ballot boxes have serial numbers?
My lord, I can't tell now. I can't remember now because I don't deal with ballot boxes.
In spite of the 34 years experience,
I don't deal with ballot boxes. But ballot boxes have code numbers and then the name of the polling station boldly printed on them. I don't remember noticing serial numbers on ballot boxes if they are part of the act and being deployed as part of the electoral process.
Hearing continues tomorrow.
Now, related development, spokesperson for the legal team of the respondents, Nana Atu-Dadzie, says they have been vindicated by reports that an interim report of the referee conducting a head count of the pink sheets tendered in evidence in the hearing totaled about 13,000. But his colleague with the petitioner said the reports could not be verified. They both spoke to journalists after today's hearing.
The KPMG counting is still continuing, and we hope to see the results or hear the results soon. But as you must have heard, the figures have ballooned to 13,000 plus. You remember we were claiming that we hadn't received in excess of 8,600, and they, particularly the second respondent, second petitioner, Dr. Bawumia, on oath, consistently maintained that they supplied us with 11,916 or 11,848, which they cleaned down to 11,138 or so. Today, we hear that there are 13,000 pink sheets. Can anybody explain that? We are waiting for KPMG to come into the court, bring their records, and then we will know that somebody will have to explain how the additional 2,800 or so pink sheets surfaced from. Whether they are marked, they are not marked, and what not. There are interesting days ahead.
In the agreement that we signed with KPMG, which we initialed, there is going to be a meeting before the final report is submitted to the court, in which case the report will be part of the record and which will be subjected to cross-examination. In the circumstances, I would rather hold and not disclose what we have been advised by our representatives, since it is still work in progress. And we will speak about this and we'll have a conversation about it once they have fully complied with the court order.
Police in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, have arrested 2 suspected highway robbers for allegedly seizing an articulated truck and its content of 550 bags of cocoa beans en route to Tema. Kwabna Amwako and Awudu Razak were among some 6 gangsters in an unregistered private car who attacked the driver and 2 others on board the truck at Fidium in the Bunahafo region. They also robbed the victims of 690 Ghana cedis cash and 3 mobile phones. A report by Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin.
The articulator truck with registration AS416512 was heading to the Tema Harbour with cargo from Isam in the Bonoafo region. The victims, George Boache, and his colleague explained how the incident occurred.
Let me so many come back on the 2 at a time. To me, joining an auto or 2 and a family, and moment. To me, join auto 5 times. They toss of 5 and a bush. To me, called there, no betting and 1 to him. No sign a cheap, no befa with Google bush. Nobody to assume say, a dear or medical no coin. So move ya, Umbeja or 1 past 7. Your mount bomb by Umbizam cocoon 1 bag, yes, and I'm seeing price. Almost didn't in a minimum cocoon price. I'm so may a driver. Timikwa mekofa koko menkonku sa koko price nti ehon ombufu ntimi mate no etimi ka se so 2,040,000 no so when the mechanic omunku nti hon na ye na ye no obi apacho.
Police say the driver, George Boache, lodged a complaint about the attack at Hridium, following which wireless messages were relayed to other police stations, checkpoints and patrol teams. On Monday, May 27th, a patrol team intercepted the articulated truck at Infensi in the Ashanti region. Kwabna Mwako and Audu Razak were arrested while their accomplice, identified as Mohammed, is on the run. ASP Mohammed Tanko is a public relations officer for the Ashanti Regional Police Command.
As soon as the information was relayed, we had enough men on the ground to be on the lookout for this vehicle. And because of their proactiveness and their good sense of duty, we managed to arrest them. So we are calling on owners of trucks, drivers, and also those who engage them to be wary, because 500 bags of cocoa is not a small amount. It's not, there's a lot of money involved in this, and if these guys have succeeded, you can imagine how much they would have gained. And
up next, we bring you the business news. In business news, government says it has delayed in approving the plan of development for the country's next major oil field, Trini Bua Enyira in Tome, because it needs more clarity on the project. According to the plan submitted by the Jubilee partners, government is expected to give its blessings to the project by Friday to allow for work by other service providers to begin. The plan, which was submitted to government in November last year, spells out the quantity of crude oil deposits at the field and the amount of money the partners intend to invest. The Jubilee partners, however, say any delay in approving the 10 projects would seriously affect the investment and contracts with service providers. The field is said to have a little over 1 billion barrels of crude oil. It is also expected to produce about 100,000 barrels a day when it begins commercial production in 2015. The vice chairman of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, Ma Biao, has called on Vice President Kwesi Emisarata. Amongst the key issues that came up for discussion is the delay in the disbursement of the $3 billion loan arranged between government and the China Development Bank.
The Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference is a political advisory body. Ma Biao told the Vice President his visit is to further the political mutual trust and business cooperation between the two countries.
We both agreed that to further the contact and links between the CPPCC and the Parliament of Ghana will be very important in further developing our friendship. In recent years, our cooperation with Ghana has produced significant outcomes, and we need to build on that. Before we left China, we learned that there has been positive progress in the consultation between China Development Bank and the Ghanaian side concerning the $3 billion financing facility. I hope that this visit of mine will further push forward the implementation of relevant matters.
He noted the value China attaches to its relationship with Africa was underscored by President Xi Jinping's decision to make the continent his first destination upon assuming office. Vice President Emisa Arthur was hopeful Ghana would emulate China's economic progress.
Now, Ghana has become a significant importer of Chinese goods, and we hope that this will continue. But in addition, we are also seeing Chinese investments in Ghana. And as His Excellency has stated, one of them is the famous CDB loan that I hope we'll be able to discuss in some detail later this morning.
The CPPCC consists of delegates from a range of political parties and organizations in China, as well as independent members. Their visit follows a number of similar visits in the wake of arrest and deportation of illegal Chinese miners in the country.
Now, consumers would have to brace themselves for regular adjustments in petroleum prices and utility tariffs as government plans to fully pass on the cost to consumers to reduce the pressure on its finances. Joy Business gathers at a recent meeting on the economy, Cabinet asked for further consultations before finally approving the move. If this materializes, prices of fuel could be going up every 2 weeks and utility tariffs every 3 months, subject to the approval of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. President Mahama has already indicated government would soon be scrapping the subsidies on kerosene, and this could see prices going up by June 1, the next review date. Government currently absorbs about 52% of the price on kerosene. The Bank of Ghana has downplayed fears the ongoing election petition case before the Supreme Court is having a negative toll on investor confidence. There is said to be some level of apprehension amongst the business community over the implication of the case on business activities. Some industry players fear the case is having a negative effect on investor confidence and may drive away external investors. But Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Henry Wampa, disagreed with the perception. According to him, the flows are sometimes due to economic reasons rather than what is happening politically, adding the fact that the case went to the Supreme Court is an indication of stability, and that is what investors look for. We bring you smart investment tips and market data next. All right, now officials of waste management company Zoomlion Ghana Limited have been reacting to recent investigations by Joy News suggesting that the company pays workers about 100 Ghana cedis, whilst it takes some 400 Ghana cedis in management fees. Let's listen to what the lawyers have been saying.
We want to make one point clear. There is what we call the core Zoomlion staff and the non-core persons who are managed by Zoomlion. And this distinction we must make very clear. So the persons who participate, in some documents they are described as participants. In other areas, they are described as beneficiaries. These persons are not employees of Zoomlion Ghana Limited, and they are also not employees of Better Ghana Services Limited. So it is not Zoomlion or Better Ghana Services that determines how much they are paid. That is not determined by us. What we do is to make proposals to government regarding our costs for managing these projects or programs. And when our cost is approved, that is what comes to us, and it is disbursed according to the itemized expenditure.
International news: a suspected U.S. drone has crashed in the southern Lower Shabelle region of Somalia. The militant group Al-Shabaab said on Twitter that an American unmanned aircraft had come down near a town under its control.
Told Reuters that fighters had shot at the object. The U.S. uses drones in Somalia to support the Somali government and African Union forces as they battle the Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab. The U.S. Africa Command has not confirmed the reports. Residents in the town of Bulo Mare told reporters they had seen the wreckage of a small plane but did not know whether it was a U.S. drone. Lower Shabelle Region Governor Abdikadir Mohamed Noor told journalists that Islamist militants had shot at the aircraft over the town for several hours before it came down. Al-Shabaab said in a Twitter post that photographs of the drone would be published in the coming hours.
Fired tear gas to disperse journalists protesting near the offices of a paper closed by the authorities last week. According to reports, 2 journalists were arrested and that others were beaten by officers using batons. And then Russia says it will go ahead with deliveries of S-300 anti-aircraft missiles to Syria and that the arms will help deter foreign intervention. Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov said the missiles were a stabilizing factor that could dissuade some hotheads from entering the conflict. That'll be all by way of international news. Now in sports news, Samuel Enim has successfully defended his yellow jersey at the second stage of the ongoing Kabul cycling tour. Day 2 of the tour started from Cape Coast and ended in Takrady. Let's get an update on the tour from our man Samuel Moore. Good evening to you, Samuel Moore. Can you briefly recap today's race for us?
Okay, today's race was a very, very, very successful race because normally today's race is characterized by a series of challenging events with the motorists. But today's race actually was event-free, and it was a very fiery race that included a lot of attacks and counter-attacks. But at the end of the day, Samuel Enim emerged as the victor again. He won the 2 hot spots, and he also kept the yellow jersey, the red jersey, and the green jersey. But big winners today include Henry Tete Jaguar and Francis Tete. These are big names, and they were in there. Came second and third respectively. Francis Tete from City Maibro was second, and Henry Tete Jaguar was third. This is not normal for Henry Tete Jaguar because Henry Tete Jaguar is a climber, but he's challenging the sprinters out there. So it's good for his time. But overall, Samuel Enim leads by 23 seconds now on the classification.
All right, thank you very much. That was Samuel Moore, and the race continues tomorrow. He was giving us an update on the ongoing Kabul cycling tour, day 2, which started from Cape Coast and ended in Takrady. Now, Ghana has officially begun preparations for the 2014 Commonwealth Games to be hosted in Glasgow, Scotland. Ghana's participation at the Games was officially launched with a call on the media to heavily promote all activities leading to the Games.
By the Ghana Olympic Committee comes over a year ahead of the Glasgow Games in a bid to allow athletes and officials, as well as the GOC and the National Sports Authority, enough time to prepare to better Ghana's recent poor run of form in multi-sport events. The nation's poor showing at recent Olympic competitions has often been attributed to the lack of adequate preparation by all stakeholders, a situation the Ghana Olympic Committee wants to avoid in coming competitions. As a result, Ghana's participation at the Commonwealth Games 2014 has been christened the Renaissance. Sports Minister Elvis Efriye Ankra, who performed the official launch, called on corporate Ghana and the media to come to the aid of the Ghana Olympic Committee with support.
We all admit that indeed, over the past so many years or so, Ghana has not been performing very well in international competitions. And the purpose why we're doing this launch today is to break from that past, is to have a renaissance where we'll take back our past glory and our past pride.
How many of you remember the gospel duo, the Tego Sisters? Well, they've been off the scene for a while now, but the two say they're cooking something new for their fans. Showbiz caught up with them at the celebration of Grace Norte.
After about 3 decades in the music industry, the siblings, Lydia and Elizabeth, in 2011 took some time off to focus on their charity organization, which supports mothers and needy twins. But it appears the sisters are now ready to bounce back onto the music scene. When Showbiz caught up with them at a program to honor veteran actress Grace Norte, the duo promised to hit the market with a new release this year.
We'll be out very soon. We are in the studio. We started a small NGO, start doing it, but by God's grace, now we have a hand now. So we are back to the studio. By end of this year, you will always hear from Tego Sisters. Very soon you hear from us, big time, by God's grace.
33 years after their debut appearance on the gospel scene, the Tego Sisters have not looked back, and they continue to share their experience with people all over the world who are affected by their music in different ways.
That's it for the bulletin. Before I go, the quick run through our top stories. The Ministry of Energy has announced a short-term power ration exercise. It says explains power outages starting from the weekend. The presidency has condemned photos circulating showing President Mahama in an inappropriate pose. Meanwhile, the man said to be responsible for the release of the photos has denied any knowledge of it. Petitioners Lead Counsel today began cross-examination of the NDC General Secretary John Segiseni Ketia as the court dismissed the amicus curiae application brought by friend of the court lawyer, Amekuju. Vice President Kwesi Misarata is lobbying a visiting Chinese delegation over the delay in the disbursement of the $3 billion CDB loan. That'll be all for the bulletin. My name is Israel Live.